I wanted to ask you, your name was in the news. I don't think anybody in the violin world could miss it last year when the Berlin Philharmonic called you up. I have to imagine that had to be a dream come true.
Yes, I mean, truly a dream come true. I think every violinist at a certain point in their career, their development, dreams of playing with some of the great orchestras. And for me, there's no greater orchestra than Berlin. So I was actually in Germany at the time when I got the call. They had just arrived in the United States. Their first stop on the tour was in Washington, D.C. Hilary Hahn, of course, was originally scheduled to perform with the orchestra on tour in the US. I was in Germany playing a completely different concerto. I was playing the Berg Violin Concerto outside of Frankfurt. And, my manager texted me basically the day before I was supposed to play the Berg and said, there's a possibility instead of flying back to New York after this appearance, you have to go to Washington, D.C. to fill in for Hillary. And then I get another phone call and it says, we've rebooked you, you're going to Washington, D.C., you can play Korngold Concerto on Friday, right? So essentially I had about 48 hours notice. It was a whirlwind situation. I played Berg Concerto, I flew back immediately to Washington, D.C. I didn't even have time to drop my bags at the hotel. I went directly into a rehearsal with Maestro Petrenko. In your mind, when you're coming up with an interpretation for a piece of music, you kind of have a idealized version of the sound. The Berlin Philharmonic is that idealized sound. And so I remember Petrenko turning to me after the run-through and he said, is there anything you'd like to do again? And I was thinking, absolutely not. Everything was perfect from the orchestra. The only issues that I need to do are just practice myself. So, performed miraculously. It was truly a dream come true. I don't know how I wasn't nervous, but there was a sense of just warmth. The orchestra was so friendly. I mean, multiple members of the orchestra came up to me in my dressing room before the first rehearsal to really warmly welcome me and say hello. And, the response from the audience was incredible. So certainly a highlight of my life.
Can I ask you, what was the last time you played the Korngold before that point?
Very fortunately, it was only about a month prior to that. I'd had a few runs of the piece with great ensembles where I really got to feel like I dug my fingers into the meat of the music. And then, just, can you do it again? Great, let's go, Berlin.
Okay, so just 2 days notice. Amazing. What did it feel like? And what do you remember most about it?
The beautiful part of it, I think I didn't have too much time to stress out about it. It was sort of, can I do this? Yes or no. It's really just a binary. The Korngold Concerto has this incredible, luscious cinematic opening, and you play for about maybe a minute before the orchestra kind of swoops in with this beautiful cascade and whooshing sound. And I remember after that first page of music that I played, hearing the orchestra play, the most beautiful thing I've ever heard, and just feeling the joy and the inspiration. So yeah, that memory is etched for me.